Okay, so April 19th, 2022, I have 10 of these. Okay? Right? I have 5 of these. Right? Plus I have what I made last night with the whipping cream. Right? I am going to try this pot instead. The one I had in mind, I can't find it. This is another one of my big pots, but only it's a little taller, you can see, versus shorter and rounder. And the bottom is, I don't think, as heavy as my other pot. I have like 3 main cooking pots. This one, the one that I just used yesterday for the whipping cream. Oh, I didn't do that. What did I bring up that pot for to cook in? Oh, I don't even remember. What was I doing? The sauerkraut. Yeah. That's the one I used to cook and make for the family all the time. Soups and stuff, right? My son tends to use it a lot. No, but anyway, then I've got this one, and then I've got my other one when I'm making other things, right? So I'm going to try this one. And I think, you know, my mind says, just throw everything in, 15 pounds of butter, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do these ones first. Right? Now the thing about making ghee is it gets really, really greasy as you go along the way, but besides that point, and then, you know, I don't know. See, I just kind of want to just throw everything into the pot. I don't know if I can get 15 pounds of butter in here. It would probably be up to here. It would be too much. Right? Because I don't know what's going to happen to the bottom. Now, if you scorch it on the bottom, it looks like that butter got burnt on there. It's really easy to get rid of, people. Seriously, all it is just boil it. Put some clean water in there and just boil it, and it will boil away. And scrub it a little bit with some tin foil, and it doesn't do anything to the pan. Anyway, I'm going to start. Hold on. Okay, so a little deja vu. So 10 pounds of butter. We're using a Dairyland product. Okay? Non-salted, right? This time I'm taking care to fold these up, put them in a bag, get them in the freezer right away. Okay, because the last time I left them out and by the next day they were no good. So if you want to use them to do muffin tins or wipe a cookie sheet or something like that, or grease a bowl if you're making bread or something, then that's what it would be used for. Hold on. Okay, so I am going to do this differently. I am not going to pressure can this time. Okay? Because it is a fat. People use fat in the old days, right, to preserve things. And, you know, I'm looking at other people's videos. I know where I'm going to store this, which is extremely dark and quite cool. Okay. All right. I've got my jars in the oven. Whoa. Oh my. Okay. At 250, I'm going to leave them in here for a while. I'm going to use this thing. I'm just going to close this for now. Just whatever. And I'm starting to melt this. Okay, I'm going to try this again. So hold on. Okay, I am trying not to have a nervous breakdown with this. I've looked at a couple of more videos. I've read so many comments. And I've come to the common denominator that I'm not pressure canning it. You sure in the heck don't want to water bath it, okay? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, the end product is a fat. And you can actually preserve things in fat. Okay? All right? I just read a comment where somebody that worked for a chef that was from India was saying simmer it on the lowest possible for over an hour and blah 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 blah, and once something, whatever, I'll maybe copy and paste the comment and I'll add it into the description box. I don't know. Eventually, you're going to have to, though, bring it up to a boil and boil off any moisture and whatever, right? So Where other people, you know, they start melting it, and once they melt it, right, then they turn up the heat a bit more, and they, you know, they look for these different stages of boiling to boil off the moisture and to separate the solids from the fat, so that the solids can sink down to the bottom of the pot, and then, you know, you just got to give it that 1 minute window, right, to just kick it over that clarified butter point, right? And then you go on to straining it and then jarring it. And it's not necessary to pressure can it in part because it's a fat, but also I did that, and we seen what happened. 4 jars didn't seal. And that's probably because at some point there was that vortex going through, pushing up on the seal, right? Which, you know, fat gets in underneath the rim, which can compromise the seal, which it did with 4 jars. So, you know, whereas if you put it in the jars, you know, with clean lids, make sure there's no water. Okay? I seen one video where there was a woman that went through the whole process, had her jars hot in the oven, whatever. I got mine at 250 degrees, right? And there's controversy around that, but besides that point, in terms of sanitizing and sterilizing, but this will be extremely hot when it goes into these hot jars, okay? And you don't want not even a smidge of water. Anyway, that woman, that with her video, she had her lids and her rims in water. So she went through all the process, did everything that she was supposed to do, but she turned around and used lids that were in water. So that kind of defeats the purpose. So as long as your lids are clean, right, nice and dry, new, okay, that should be fine in terms of getting that sealed end product, right? Because, Andre, can you please lower your voice? Sealed end product, because the ghee itself is shelf stable in a enclosed environment for a year. I would pressure can pushing for that 5-year mark, whereas if you do it the way I'm doing it today, as long as it's in a cool, dark place and the jars don't pop, then you're going to probably more than likely extend the life of your ghee for well over a year, if not years. Some people say indefinitely. Okay? But it depends on how you store it. Okay? If you're looking for long-term shelf life. So now we're boiling. I'm afraid to burn the bottom of the pan, people. So I'm just going to turn it down a bit more. Oh, and don't put your face over the pot, because every now and then you get these burps that will splash up and get into your face. So remember that, okay? Whether it's on low or whether you've got it on a vigorous boil, because at some point you do have to bring it to a vigorous boil to make sure that you boil out the water and, you know, get those solids sinking to the bottom. So at this point, I've got it on 3, about 3. I'm just going to leave it on 3 for now. Right? I've watched 15 videos. You'd think I'd know by now, right? But it's because I'm getting all this mixed messaging between all these different videos. Right? In terms of one person does it this way, another person does it this way. And apparently you can even do this in the oven, as if you were rendering pork fat to make lard. Right? And in that situation, I wouldn't pressure can the lard, right? Because it's again, it's a fat, right? That, you know, you put it into hot jars, and right, you bring it to a just to the point of boiling, and then you pour it into hot jars, put on your lids, and then you turn it upside down, leave it like that for 15 minutes so that, you know, what's inside the jar sterilizes the top of the lid. Then you flip it over and then it solidifies, right? With these people doing it that way, I'm noticing that they're not flipping over the lids. They're just pouring in the ghee, putting on their lids, screwing them on, and that's with jars that have been in the oven, so everything's hot, hot, hot. The ghee is hot, everything's hot, right? But they're not flipping over the jar as you would with lard. So I don't know. So I got it on low. It's on 3 right now. It's on a low boil. I'll show you. Okay, I was going to leave it like that. They say don't touch it. Don't stir it. Don't move it around. Don't do nothing. Right? The majority of people just say leave it, right? Right? You could even go lower than this in terms of separating, right? But at some point, again, you're going to have to bring it up and give it a good boil, right? So, I guess, you know, some people say it can take over an hour and a bit to do it. Another person will say 20 minutes. So I guess the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it, the more you know what. I've turned mine up to 5 now because I don't want to be here for an hour because I've got other ones to do. Right? So I'm going to speed up the process by turning up the heat and just bring it to a little bit more of a vigorous boil. And then when it starts to change, right, then I'll turn it up just maybe to 6.5, boil it off for a few more minutes, and then it should be done. So hold on. Okay, so I think there is such a thing as the long way and the short way. Okay? When you start skimming it and you're turning up the heat and, you know, you're kind of speeding up the process, that's the fast way. Right? They say 20 minutes, no more than half an hour. Okay? 25 minutes, whatever. Whereas, like I said, I read a post where, you know, and I just watching other videos, you know, like 2 posts. One said you can actually do it in the oven, right? Like you would rendering lard. Or you can do it like this in a pot on very, very low and leave it like that for hours. And don't touch it, right? They tell you don't stir it, don't really do anything with it, right? Although, you know, some people say skim it. So it's a lot of mixed messaging going on in here. Now, I have skimmed a fair amount here, which I probably shouldn't be, but I'll make, because that's a lot of liquid. Like you're skimming off the fat, right? You're skimming off something here. And for as much as I skimmed off, it came back. Right? So, I think I'm skimming too soon. Right? I think you have to let it cook for a while. And I've got it on 5 now. So, I don't know. I might have to do this again. Well, I am going to, because I've got 5 pounds of no-name butter, and then I've got the butter that I made yesterday, right? So, okay, so I'm not skimming right now, but from another person that does videos pointed out that the bubbles start to change. They start to get bigger, which indicates you're getting into not water, but the oil is now starting to boil, right? A lot of this other stuff is water, and right? But when the bigger bubbles start to come in, then it's changing, right? It's starting to change. Now this here, because it's so much, I could put it into my next batch and boil it off. I don't know. Right? We'll see. But I'm noticing that the bubbles are changing. But now, mind you, I'm not cooking this on high. I got it just a little under 5, right? But you can see that the foam came back, eh? But the bigger bubbles are coming. So when the bigger bubbles come, it's going to break up this, and then the solids are going to start to separate more. And ideally, what you want is for them to sink to the bottom, right? Okay, so I turned up the heat to 6. Okay, because I've been here for about, what, 15 minutes already? 10, 15 minutes, at least pushing that now. So I'm going to put it on 6.5. I'm going to bring it up a bit more because the bubbles are starting to change, right? And we're going to start seeing this change a little bit, right? So by bringing up the heat, it starts to boil off this because of the bigger bubbles are breaking it up more, right? That's what I'm thinking. Okay? Because I don't necessarily want to scoop that out because, it kind of defeats the purpose, right? That's why some people say don't touch it, just leave it. Just let it go through its process. Some do it slow, some do it faster, right? Right? It's like, I guess it boils down to preference. Oh yes, and some people say do this when it's sunny outside, not when it's rainy and cloudy. This stuff responds better to when it's sunny outside in terms of, I guess, the air is dry. And don't do it at night because everything cools down and you get moisture in the air because when things cool, moisture is, it's a conductor, right? Coldness is a conductor for moisture, right? So the more you can do this on a sunny day, the better off in terms of the success you're going to have at it. Right? So, right? Because you're trying to burn off the moisture, right? That makes sense. So the more the ambient air is hot and dry on a sunny day, this will be absorbed up faster. Otherwise, it's going to take longer. And it makes sense. Right? This is what I'm reading these comments, eh? So you can see the bubbles are starting to change a little bit here. Right? You don't need to stir it, nothing. Okay? You're not supposed to stir it. Nothing. You're just supposed to watch this change color. It's still cloudy. Eventually it's going to start looking like olive oil. Right? And then when it gets to olive oil, that's where you've just got that really small window of time. Okay? But you got to bring it to that boil for at least a minute, all right? In terms of, maybe even turn it up just a tad bit more, okay? Because otherwise, the solids don't separate completely, right? And that can be a conductor for, problems in your end product, right? You want to get rid of all the moisture, all the water, and have all the solids basically, combined together at the bottom of the pan. Now we can see that things is changing. The bubbles are changing. Last time I went through this, everything started to come up, so I'm going to pay attention and I'm going to turn this off for now. Okay, so it's not quite ready yet because when you put it in the spoon, it's still getting cloudy, but this is where you bring up the heat, I think, just a little bit. And as soon as it gets clear, as soon as it starts looking clear, it's not clear yet, just give it that minute. Okay, minute, 2 minutes, okay? When I was too busy talking, showing you, I put the timer on for 5 minutes, and I was 4 minutes too late, okay? Okay, so I took it off the burner, because I think I'm there, because I really don't want to burn it. And as you can see, it's on a, breadboard, and it's still bubbling away, okay? Right, it was getting to that high mode state. So you can see that the solids are still going off to the side here a little bit. Right, I tried to look at the bottom to see if it was caramelizing or if it was sticking, but I couldn't see, right? I couldn't tip it over enough to be able to see. So I don't know if this is good enough or what. Because I see little bits of things in there, right? I feel like I should be boiling it more. Do you see? It's like right in the... It's right in the... But then you strain it though, right? You see, you can see it's looking like olive oil. Oops. Right, that's what we want. If I'd have it on the stove right now, I'd probably be burning it. Okay? So hold on. Okay, I am definitely not rocking no boats here. Now, it is kind of recommended to have them up a little as close to the rim as you can have them. Okay? But, you know, it is what it is right now for me. Alright? This one's a little short on, you know. But outside of that, okay. And then we've got this on the bottom. Do you see? Now, I could have caramelized it a bit more, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary. And it's not like I can do this again. So anyway, I think I did a really good job this time, considering all things. Okay, I can't wipe the rims. This has got vinegar on it with a little bit of water. And wipe the rims. Hold on a minute. Okay, so I ended up taking a spoon and taking some out of this one. And I topped everything off to about 1/4 inch from the rim. Okay? Alright, because that's what's recommended. It makes sense. It makes sense to me. Right? You don't want a lot of head space in there. Okay? And I wiped the rim. And then I got another paper towel with just straight up vinegar on it. And I wiped it again. Okay? So I wiped it twice, just because. Now you're going to have oil in here, grease, right? So after everything settles down and cools down and solidifies, you're going to have to, and seals, right? You're going to have to unscrew your bands and wash everything. Wash your bands and make sure that, you know, everything's nice and dry before you put your bands back on. Okay? These are just air bubbles in there. I'm pretty sure. Okay? So now I'm going to put the screw bands on, and I'm going to move these off to the side. And I'm going to do it again after I clean the pot. You can see, I probably could have gave it, well, no, because look at the bottom, look. So I think I got it just right. You can eat this. Oh yeah, look at that. Okay? I bet you that tastes good. And then this, I don't think I should have skimmed it off as fast as I did. Hold on. Okay, so basically, you want one of these things. This is Pyrex, okay? So it's okay to put it in the oven, and you want it nice and hot at 250, right? Sitting there for a while, sterilize it, okay? The same thing with your jars. After you wash them, you know, put them in the oven and keep them at 250, okay? And let them be there for at least a half an hour before you decide to start using them. Okay? That's the first thing. Now, the reason you don't need to pressure can this, and it makes sense, people, there is no blood, there is no water, there is no gristle, there is no meat, there is no vegetables, there's none of that stuff. Okay? So it's not about, because it's fat, you have to can it, pressure can it. No. No. The only reason you pressure can meat is because of all the byproducts in it. The water, the blood, the gristle, right? fibers, right? Just your whatever it is, okay? Because when you do broth, you only pressure can it for 20 minutes. It's when you start introducing all those other things that you have to increase the time. And fat just happens to be a part of that that package, right? When you're doing meat, okay? But fat itself is is used as a preservative to preserve meat and all how you use it and stuff, right? Now that I've washed this, because I'm going to do it again, when I get this cataract surgery, I'm not going to be able to do any of this, eh? Oh, I can really feel the pull on my eyes. I get all, right? Now I'll put this back in the oven. My jars are there. So far I got 8 jars. And a bit. 7 jars? Yeah. 7 jars. 7 jars and a bit. From 10 pounds of butter. Plus this miscellaneous stuff. So we'll put that in there. And I'm going to do either, you can hear it popping, so it's sealing, right? And because I'm putting it in a very, very cool, dark place, the chances of those jars popping open after the fact are almost nil to none. And that's where it becomes indefinite in terms of shelf life from other people's research. Okay? So I feel pretty good about this. So I've got now the 5 pounds of the no name, which I will cook up separate, right? And then we've got the homemade butter, which I'm going to start with first. But I think I'm going to take the first 2 batches that I did and cook them up. And then the one that was from a later date of whipping cream, I think I'm just going to probably roll them up into little balls or something and freeze them and then put them in a bag and just kind of use them that way for cooking or whatever, right? I don't know. Just keep it simple, right? And then I've got the 5 pounds of the no name. And I like this. I'd do this again. Look how nice that is. Completely different from the first time I did it. And this stuff, oh my God. I even scraped off the little bits of brown pieces. Oh, it's so delicious. I could eat it just like this. Like, seriously, you don't know. The foam, I'll make some mashed potatoes and maybe I'll cook it up with some mashed potatoes. But this, oh my God. This is so good. Like, you just can't imagine. Oh my God. I have a fair amount. Now, should I give it another minute or 2? It's hard to say, right? But I think I'm in the safe zone here. So hold on. Okay, so now we're gonna do the whipping cream, the first 2 batches with the fresher cream. Okay. Obviously, it's a smaller pot, so we're gonna start it on low. That's what we're gonna do. It just came out of the fridge, so it's very, very cold. So I'm gonna warm this up slowly. I took a little break.
But they just don't be in my yard.
So when you're dealing with this stuff the way I'm showing you, make sure it's in the oven, okay? This is that Pyrex to be able to pour into the hot jars, all right? And I think these jars over here have already basically sealed, right? So I'm not, this one, yeah, it looks like they all sealed. I am going to wash these jars tomorrow. I'm not going to disturb it. I'm going to let these things solidify. Now this one is going to be used regularly, right? Like now, okay? Because you can see it's not full. But all these other ones are full. So, and I'm going to keep everything separate. I'm going to put the brand name of the butter on the labels so I know what it is, right? And then this one would be made from whipping cream, okay? I took that from the bottom of the pan, and I just put it in a little baggie, and I put it in the freezer, okay? Because I'm going to get more, right? This I'm just going to put in the fridge for now. Now I'm not going to skim. I'm not going to skim. You could freeze this, and I may. It depends how much I get yet from the other two like this batch. And then I'm going to do the no-name butter yet in a separate pot. Okay, I'm going to just pace myself. I am going into the evening, but I got other things to do, so I kind of want to get this done, right? And so I'm just going to put this in the fridge for now. And then, you know, as I skim or whatever, new pot or new bowl, and then I'll end up putting it in there. And if I have to, which more than likely, I'll freeze it, because you can do that, right? So if you see here, there is that sweet buttermilk. It tastes like milk, only it's more creamier, right? It's very rich. From the whipping cream, I have 3 of them. Okay, and the other one though that was kind of off, I just out the door. This one here is that butter from the bottom of the pan, the pot. So I'm going to freeze that too. So I'm going to keep doing that, and then at some point I'll probably freeze the rest of that. Okay, hold on. Okay, the first thing that I'm noticing here, people, is this is much clearer versus using butter. Okay, you can see. So I don't know what it's going to take to boil everything out. I mean, it's cloudy, but nothing like butter. I don't think. Right? Definitely a big difference already, and it's still melting, right? Okay, so it did cream up in there. You can see, right? It's much more creamier, I guess you could say. Now I'm not skimming this off this time. I'm gonna just wait for a while. Oh, I don't even know if I had that on. As I was saying, it's with the whipping cream. It seems to be creamier, but I'm not skimming this off right now. I'm just gonna let it cook. I've only got it on 3.5. Right? You can see it's 3.5. Okay, so now mind you, this is just a little bit. It's cooking faster, so I don't need it on high heat versus if it was a big pot, right? Okay, so what happens is you can see whatever is coming to the surface sticks to the spoon, because I'm just kind of moving it right now. So, you know, because I want to see it, right? And that must be the milk solids, right? It must be. Not everything has to go to the bottom of the pan because, you know, burn, right? So, I'm going to take some off now because I'm going to end up freezing this stuff anyway, what I don't use, right? So you're not losing, okay? Because there's such a small amount in here that I don't want it to go to waste. Okay, this is like, we'll just say $6.99. So that's what? 7 and 7. That's $14 worth of cream here, okay? Right. I'm just listening to people chat. And you can see it's doing something in here. Oh, I can't see it. The camera's getting all plugged. Right. I was listening to a woman that looks after her grandmother, and she got some gifts, right? And some of those gifts are really good ideas for Amari. She inspired me. So when I'm going to do a little order, and then when or maybe I'll put her link in the description box, because I'm motivated to try some new things here, right? With Amari, in terms of giving him an opportunity to try and feed himself, although I don't know how that will work, but we'll try. Right, so I'm going to order a couple of things, and so you can see it's already separating. Look, it's already separating. Already. And this is on low. Okay, I only got it on 3.5. So now we're getting into clarified butter here, but we don't want clarified butter. We want ghee. So at some point you have to turn it up and just heat it up a little more, but before it burns, right? So we're getting there. Okay? And if you're doing a small batch like this, it doesn't take as long. That I can tell you that right now. Right? Definitely. So hold on. Okay, so I turned up the heat now to about just a little past 5, okay? Right? Because it's such a small pot. And I'm just going to cook it like this for a few minutes, because we don't want it to burn on the bottom, right? We just want to get it to that point. So hold on. Okay, so you get the hang of it the more you do it. So, you know, if you don't make it the first time, keep on trying. Do you see? It's just starting to caramelize, right? It's not burnt. And boy, oh boy, is that stuff ever tasty. But it's really important that when you think it's ready, to take it off the stove and put it on here. And you can clearly see that the bubbles are different, okay? Okay, so just with those 2 batches, which would have been 3 liters of cream, right? And don't forget, I got that buttermilk frozen as well, right? Which is really good. And Mari likes to drink it, okay? And it's tasty. So anyway, with the cream, whipping cream, we got 1 full one, almost a full one, minus a bit. But I think I'm still skimming too much too soon, because you can see the butter in here. Now these ones I put like this, and I'm putting them in the freezer. Okay? And then after, I'm not putting the lid on. Well, I could put the lid, I'm going to wait till, I'm going to fill this one up after, right? But you want to write, stick, you know, this is an old lid. So I'll wash that off with some Vim, and then I'll write on there, I don't want to say butter scraps, but you know, it was that stuff, and not what I and the stuff that I skimmed as well. I mixed the 2 up together, right? And I can either put that into Amari's food, or I could put it into mashed potatoes for everybody. Okay, I'm breaking it up this way because I'm thinking more for Amari, because he's the one who needs the butter the most, right? But either or, you know, I could take out a teaspoon or so at a time, just because it really tastes good, eh? But I'm freezing these. Hold on. Okay, so now we do what we can do.
Right? And Treese gets on her live. And
I think it was $5.99.
So if those people want to, you know, direct
maybe $4.99, but I don't think so.
They are within their rights to do so,
right?
Right?
Not anymore.
It seems like it's a lot of people attacking her. But
so anyway, I've got 5 of these.
Putting out on the table.
I'm going to attempt to do them in the smaller pot.
As well, right?
Now I do clean in between. I clean the poor thing, right? I cleaned last time this. I don't know if I cleaned it this time. I think I did, and then I dried it. Just remember, no water, right? And the more you do it, the better you get at it. Okay, you start to know what to look for, and that kind of stuff. Now, I won't know if the whipping cream cooks up faster until I have a big pot of it. Okay, so I think next time I do the whipping cream, I'm gonna do.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting a feel for.
I don't know.
Too, because a lot. Cause
I was gonna do
gathered
6
like
cartons,
6
but
people
I might do
and
10.
had all of them coming at me, Coco Lele real
I'll
tight.
make the butter,
Like, she's not
and then after the
innocent
butter
from
is
this.
made, then I'm going to cook it all up at one time in one big pot. And then when I do that, that's when I will be able to tell
You still
you
here? Say you gone.
if it cooks up faster than regular quote-unquote butter. Because that's what I noticed. But mind you, it was a small batch, so maybe that's why. Okay? In terms of taste, I won't know until after it's all said and done.
Okay.
If you notice, do you hear what's going on in the background here?
Can you hear me, Rob?
I don't know,
I can hear you a little
people.
bit, but something wrong with your microphone.
I don't really want to comment on it.
I'm not gone. And I'm not.
I do.
I'm talking to you. We
But
both from the same side of the map. And
you know, I think there's more going on than meets the eye. Let's just put it that way.
talk to Rod.
Okay?
That's really.
I don't think everything is as is being said that it is. Okay?
I'm talking to Rod, ladies.
And we're
You know.
Don't make me laugh, y'all.
I'm just seeing. I don't know. Just seeing what YouTube is about, I guess you could say.
You please disconnect the channel because you got other people waiting
Right.
on backstage. Please and thank you.
Okay, wait a minute. So Shay, because I don't want to just be rude to you like that.
So I'm saving these wrapper things.
Give you some understanding. You got to stand in one spot so you can answer me, have this conversation, so we can let it be, what it is. Right?
Double check,
So
because sometimes
the whole situation to you. I'm not.
we're
gonna
cooking
stop
up
talking
pieces
about
of
Latrice right
that
now
stuff.
because I'm not done.
The wrapping.
Right. So you may look at it as an attack. I don't look at it as an attack. This lady has attacked me. She has attacked, a lot of us that's on this panel today. And so
A lot of people are getting a lot of subscribers, a lot of views
situation.
around
We
this
all
whole
have an
situation.
The best thing for Treese to do is to either ignore me and move on, or she can,
Right?
she can show different content. Like I don't really care what
And
you do.
I
I'm
don't
just
know.
saying, like, it's already at this point with us. So it's gonna, and
Just
people
one
do
big
pull
circle.
positivity from my channel. It's not, all
Right.
negativity. It may be negative when I'm telling you guys exactly what she's doing because I only repeat what she puts out. I don't add nothing or take nothing away from it. I may add my opinion to it, but that's about it.
Okay. And from what I got and gathered was this was supposed to be
I don't know what
something
people
where
are trying
you
to
felt
accomplish
like
here.
you wanted to help her, right? That's
In the
what
beginning.
I really don't.
wanted to help her. And my whole thing is this. The batching of constantly, and I'm not saying just you, I'm just speaking in general. Constantly, can't we move from that? Or if we're going to get love and show love, she is still, and I'm not saying like, and I'm going to say again, she is still a human being. And I'm not saying for there, Roz, if what she did, trust me, I understand molestation, all that. Maybe
Anybody
you
can
don't
say
because
anything,
you didn't
people.
come from that, but I get it because I
And the
grew
thing
up in a
about young
family of
people,
that. So
like
I
teenagers,
understand that. And
when they're 16, 17,
I'm not
even younger than that,
Yeah, why can't I
they get influenced by people around them and they get egged on. They really do. Because they got missions going on. I seen it with Sierra, right? And they could be fine Christian women. Sierra had this boyfriend when she was, I don't know.
Yeah.
His name was Ben.
I don't understand it. I think we all
And
can read
I
it.
guess he was an addict too, right? Only he got beat real bad and had his head bashed in. And his mother was a fine Christian woman, right? Anyway, I don't know how Sierra hooked up with him, but she did. And I tried to get Sierra away from Ben, right? But that mother wanted Sierra there and wouldn't let me get my daughter out of her house. So many times, so many people wouldn't let me get my daughter out of their house, people. I can tell you there was a woman named Felicia, Norma, Ben's mother. That's 3 that I can think of. Anyway, she wanted Sierra in Ben's life because, you know, Ben was beating on her and shit, pulling out her hair and
That's fine. You
whatever.
So I
don't know what this mother was thinking.
Us coming from the same
I guess
place and
maybe
understanding the same thing.
she
I
thought
get your
Sierra
side.
would
I
be
get
the
where you
batting
talk.
board versus
You know what
maybe
I'm
the
saying?
mom.
I'm from the Bay too. I just live in Oregon. I'm
And then
8
she
hours
started
away.
with a bunch of false allegations and because Sierra was, you know, vulnerable and under the influence, convinced Sierra that shit happened to her that never fucking happened to her. And it took me a long time to get Sierra away from Ben and his mother and his mother.
I'm not disrespecting anyone on
But
this
then
panel.
it was just a matter of time,
And just saying, hey,
you know, before Sierra came into contact with somebody else that basically wanted to exploit Sierra for whatever means that they were exploiting her for.
I mean,
right?
Damn, this is one woman.
You know,
and I'm not saying she right or wrong.
That's the thing about teenagers. They're very susceptible to the people around them that have motives. And they tend to exaggerate on situations. Right?
I'm not talking to you.
Especially if they've been traumatized at some point or another. Or they're under the influence of drugs, for example, like Sierra was. Right?
Okay, and we have to get rid of her. Who is World
Tammy? Tammy was another one that exploited Sierra, right? Didn't want Sierra to come home because she had, you know, right? Sierra represented money, right?
Oh yeah, she was most definitely.
Right?
I don't understand.
Tammy, Felicia, Norma, freaking Ben's mother. There's more in there, people.
Because we ain't from the same hood like that. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Just stupid shit.
I'm
So,
too old for that.
for all these adults going on and on and on and on and on and on,
got me riding around everywhere I go. I got my goddamn going.
I don't know.
I'm ready to bust some great.
Who you telling?
That all seems staged for views, in my opinion. Basically, it's just a talking point. That's all it is.
Be her. It'd be her crazy ass supporters. What's up, world of Gigi?
Because if you don't agree with them on either side, it doesn't matter what side you're on. Right? You're right. So, and they, you know, that's not the mission. The mission is to up the ante with the subscriber count, up the ante with the views, you know, probably make money.
I've been watching her for years.
Right, and the one that's
2 years ago, that Treese was molesting her kids.
Egging it on, I guess you could say, is benefiting from it as well. And clearly we're dealing with psychological issues here that everybody is ignoring, literally ignoring,
Let's go back.
which adds, you know, more reason to think that what we're looking at is
You know who he is? Y'all know who he
false.
is? Yeah.
I've heard of the custom pastor.
Right? I mean, if you wanna analyze the situation, why don't you analyze where the information is actually coming from? That's a good start, okay? In terms of the behavior that we're looking at and why it's manifesting in the manner that it's manifesting, in part because of the socialization of young people today and what pedophiles want in terms of they want our kids. So they single out certain kids that are vulnerable to
talk to crazy. Crazy don't understand nothing that nobody says to her.
that little 9-year-old white boy, or was he 7 years old, or that queer boy that likes to dress up like a little stripper and perform on stage like he's a stripper, but he's like 9 years old. and everybody's clapping
don't get it.
with the mother being proud. Like, what the hell is that,
Here's the
people?
information that that is, so y'all need to
You know,
look at
got him all dressed up,
going.
like,
He don't,
looking like,
when I say he has zero fucks, even though he's a minister,
starts
he
his
don't
own
care.
website as if a 9-year-old could do
I
that.
think I know exactly what you're
Right?
talking
His own
about.
fan
He
base.
really
Like,
don't
come on,
care.
think about it,
That
people.
is
Think
That
about it,
is.
okay? It's
that
kind of
is
like
nasty.
along those lines,
But yeah, Trees tells a lot of lies. Like,
right?
you know, allegedly,
Anyway,
Tay is the
I
person that
listen,
held Courtney down.
you know,
Yeah,
I
allegedly.
try
Yeah,
not to
yeah.
let it get me bent out of shape, right? Because,
So now he's not answering her. He don't want to have
no, it's
nothing
that
to do with it, and she's trying.
if the tree falls in the forest, nobody's going to hear you anyway,
You
right?
know, he a street nigga. He
Okay,
ain't
so
get
now we're
involved
going to do
with
5 pounds of just
Yeah.
basic
He got
no-name
plenty of
butter,
substance in his
and we're going to
closet
see what we
get
get.
involved
So
in
hold on.
Exactly.
Okay, so yeah, just do on low, right? And you know, you don't even have to skim. Just let it do its thing. Like I'm leaning more towards, you know, around 3, right? 3.5. You know, just letting it just do whatever. What it all melt. It will start to, you know, right? Eventually, you can bring it up a little bit, and then just let it cook for a while, and like don't panic. Don't be too quick to start skimming off. Mind you, you're not wasting anything because you can eat it up that day or you can put it in the freezer, right? Like there is no wastage to this, people. That's one thing I am noticing. Now after this is done, I'm kind of tired, but besides that point, I think I've had a pretty good 2 days between the sauerkraut and the butter. Well, 3 days. 3 days. Sauerkraut, made the butter. Today I'm canning it, right? And so for the next couple of days, I'm going to work off and on in the basement a little bit because, you know, right? And I'm going to try and start heading outside a little bit, but of course I got to do laundry and everything else I got to do in a day, right? But I think on the weekend, I'm going to try and pencil in that black cod. I really want to can the black cod. And what it is a bunch of fish that I bought, oh, I don't know, a long time ago. Vacuum sealed it. And I just want some. I just want it canned, and I'm gonna can it in olive oil. That's what I'm gonna do. And I've got the salmon jars, right? Because you know I'm already fruit, right? I make his applesauces and stuff. So even though I haven't been able to find any salmon jars when I go shopping for jars, I have some. So I'm going to do at least probably 12 jars of black cod canned in probably olive oil. And I'm going to pencil that in for the weekend. And then after the weekend, next week, well, I'll probably do the pork fat and do lard because that's easy, right? And then, and of course, you know, work in the basement, do whatever I do, and get outside. And then in about 2 weeks, maybe 3, then I'll do the big job. I'll do those 2 turkeys. I'll cook one so everybody can eat turkey, be happy, and I'll half cook one, and I'll can it, and I'll make another case of good, really deep, rich turkey broth, and I'll can that. Oh my God, that's just, but that will be like a 3-day job, right? By the time you go through the whole process, right? But I won't do that for about a month. I'm going to do the black cod first on the weekend, I think. And then I'm going to do the lard.
I tell all of them I wouldn't even know they existed
just
if they wouldn't put my name.
whatever I'm doing, right? So I'm getting caught up with things here. So this is good,
I'm not talking
right?
about none of y'all.
This is where we're at right now. You can see, right? That's the Dairyland, right? That's my whipping cream. But we know next time I do whipping cream, I'm buying 10 liters of whipping cream. Okay, so that will be like $80 in whipping cream. But with the whipping cream, you get the milk and you get the extra butter, and it's good. Okay, so I really highly recommend that you do this, right? Okay.
Okay, all right, good night.
Wait, so I'm done. So we got, oh boy, 7 jars with the 10 pounds of butter plus. Okay, a little shy. That's 10 pounds. Okay, with the better butter. Andre, please. I still have the butter from those 1.5 whipping creams that were a little older. So tomorrow I'll just gonna break them off into pieces, slice them, and freeze them. You know, I'll just slice it, cut it, and then put it on a tray, freeze them, or whatever. It's going in the freezer anyway. I'm gonna try and make them into chunks. Okay, so other than that, that would be... Can you hold on? Anyway, I'm finishing up with this video. Okay, so that was 1.5. That would be 3 liters. But we also got the sweet buttermilk, 3 pints, and then whatever I did with this stuff. Okay, which is really, really, really good. This one was the no-name butter. I mean, if that's all that's available, by all means, do it. I noticed it took a little longer to cook. It wasn't as quick to do what it does. And even then, it started browning. It didn't burn, but it got quite dark at the bottom of the pan. Now, if it looks like it gets really dark at the bottom of the pan, or even if you burnt it like I did the first time I did this, seriously, all you do is just put some water in it and boil it on the stove, and it's not long before it comes off. Okay, like, don't get all panicky. So we got 4. We had 5 pounds, and we got 4 pints, which is pretty good. Plus this and this, for the most part, and I've got more of this already in my freezer. This one I'm just gonna put in the fridge, and I'll do something with that tomorrow, and then I'm going to freeze this one. Okay, I got 2 of those, plus I have like 2 or 3 baggies full, and then I also have the buttermilk. So I think I did pretty good in the last 3 days, considering all things said, right? And then we've got our sauerkraut here. Okay,